Welcome to the Amazon Legends podcast, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became powerful sellers, also experts specializing in helping sellers, and both former and current Amazon employees who will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here's your host, Nick Urison.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. And our guest today is an incredible lady. Her name is Danielle Vincent, and Danielle is the CEO and co-founder of Outlaw. She's an incredible entrepreneur, an extremely bright and caring individual. She was named the 2020 Entrepreneur of the Year in Consumer Goods by Small Business Awards. In the middle of the pandemic, she pulled that off, and she's also a published author of Unicorn, a self-help book. She helped so many people get better in life. So I'm really proud to have her. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thank you, Nick. I'm so glad to be here.
So let's jump right in. So tell me about the biggest challenge that you are having right now, this minute. It's the shopping season. We are in the middle of the shopping season. Also pandemic, the numbers are going up. So how is it going right now for you in terms of difficulties you're having and what you're doing about it? And also, to give us a better perspective, in the process, tell us about your company Outlaw and what you do. And that way we get a better understanding of the nature of the challenge and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So we are a very unique personal care and home fragrance company. We make personal care like shower supplies, soap, lotion, cologne, and candles, air fresheners that smell like whiskey, campfire, leather, pine forests, and clove, stuff like that. Very unique products. So we knew we had to be on Amazon in order to meet our customers where they shop. Most of our shoppers are kind of, most of our customers are looking for, geez, I wish I could smell like this campfire all the time. And that's where we want to be. So we knew we had to be on Amazon in order to meet them there. And so we've been on Amazon since we started this company because, that's where people start. And we also sell direct to consumer through liveoutlaw.com. And until last year, Amazon actually made up the majority of our income and our revenue. And the pandemic hit us really hard. And that's leading up to, just an intense feeling of gratitude and appreciation for the fact that that we are living through this time. Nick, I'm sure this is like a really, this is a very historic time to be living, and I'm grateful to be here for it. Amazon, as many of your other guests have talked about, when non-essential goods kind of dropped off the face of Amazon's priority list, that was a hard time for us as well. And we are recovering from that. We're trying to figure out our Amazon strategy overall. Where do we want to be? What do we want to be doing? How does this work into our bigger corporate strategy and not just its own channel strategy? And that's what we're really addressing for 2022. So we've seen our sales decline on Amazon, and I just want to be really, really straightforward about that, because I think that's, part of the reality of being on Amazon is you look at what's going on and you adjust, right? So that's where we are.
What are 4 or 5 things that you're doing to overcome this challenge?
Yeah, for us, we really want to differentiate our products. There's so many increasing competitors on Amazon, more handmade soap makers than ever. We really were one of the first handmade soap makers on Amazon in 2013. That is not the case anymore. It's a lot more accessible to people. So a lot more people are listing on there. And we want to make sure that we stand out because we don't feel like there's many competitors to what we're doing, even if there's competitors in the broader category.
Mhm. Okay. So, I mean, look, you've been doing this since 2013. You've been through the pandemic and you're going to figure this out. But
Mhm.
yes, the big picture is definitely you can't just create an operation for Amazon, right? So you have to have a bigger
Right.
strategy, and then Amazon is the channel. And if you are a legitimate brand owner where you're looking to grow your market share by doing the right things, Amazon is always bringing out new ways of doing things to help
Mhm.
brands. So you'll figure it out. So what do you see as the biggest opportunities and the challenges when you're selling on Amazon?
Yeah, differentiating is really, really challenging because Amazon likes to put you against other brands that are less expensive. And so, for example, our lotion is $18 and there's less expensive lotions out there. Not all of them are in sustainable packaging. Not all of them smell like what we smell like. But, Amazon is always trying to help people find what they're looking for. And in many cases, that means the least expensive, cheapest product. And so that's a real challenge on Amazon for us, is showing the value and showing our company's value overall.
Yeah, so this is a challenge, and of course, one of the things that I always mention is I tell people Amazon is not a marketplace of products; it's a marketplace of keywords.
Right.
So you then associate your product with the right keyword, that the keywords that are in demand. So you are immediately speaking to the demand. So I guess, is that something that you experience also, or how do people search? Do they search you by brand, or do they just search by keywords? And do you have a diverse pool of keywords? How do you go about it?
So we're selling our own products. And thankfully, that comes with a lot of benefits, which is that there's no buy box competition because
Mhm.
we have, agreements in place with our wholesale accounts that say that they don't sell on Amazon. So that's great. And Amazon has also been pretty great about taking down brands who are using our our copyrighted and trademarked names and stuff like that. So that's been really great. But it's a really good question of how to go into, the most important keywords and try and figure out what the most important keywords are. I have a background in search engine optimization as a previous product manager for entertainment websites. And so that's been really the mission of my life, if there has been a commonality. And finding out that Amazon is primarily a big search engine is great. At the same time, uh, making sure that we can own the keywords that are important to us, or at least show up on there. That's, how do we do that without being a cork on the ocean of trends? We're not interested in being trends. We're a evergreen brand with the evergreen scent profile that we have. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about your decision making on in terms of selling on Amazon. I heard you say earlier that most of your sales you generate on Amazon, and at the beginning you decided. What was the thinking behind starting on Amazon?
Yeah. So right now, actually, Amazon only makes up about 30% of our revenue. Most of our customers now come directly to us. But our original purpose in selling on Amazon is that, I mean, of course, everybody knows that Amazon's the place where people start their product searches. So if they're looking to try a new handmade soap, they're going to be searching on Amazon for it, or they'll go on Etsy, but they're generally not doing that search on Google. In fact, what we found is that most people are looking for handmade soap near me on Google, not handmade soap overall, right? I know it's interesting. So when people are looking for local products, they're looking for it on Google. When people are looking for products overall, they're looking on Amazon. And so we have to be there. It's a business decision that is very important to us to be on Amazon. And we knew that, I mean, I grew up in Seattle, so I remember when Amazon was just the biggest bookseller in the world. That has been, I mean, it's been where everybody gets their products for so long, and especially our customers, they're always shopping there. So
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are constantly growing, and of course, the pandemic helped it. It's 60% of e-commerce sales in the United States. It's on Amazon. So
it's
I always
amazing.
tell people, especially if you are starting, set up shop where the money is, because if you can take market share there, then you're gonna get quite a bit of, revenue already, rather than trying to drive visitors to your website or any others. It just doesn't make any sense to go anywhere else. So you absolutely made the right decision. It was very smart on your part. So when you started, tell us about some of the initial challenges, because it's always an adjustment, right? When they have all these templates, the requirements, the policies, the procedures, and you're just starting and you don't really have an infrastructure. Tell us about some of the initial challenges.
Oh man, I mean, to like think back on where we were in the beginning and also where Amazon Seller Central was in the beginning. I mean, it was a total mess, and we were a total mess, complying with Amazon's uh shipping requirements for FBA. We knew we wanted to go on FBA, pretty fulfilled by Amazon pretty much right away. And we decided to go on Seller Central instead of Vendor Central because controlling our pricing has always been really important to us. And so that's why we wanted to go on Seller Central. But in the beginning, we didn't even have UPC codes. We didn't have any of the requirements that Amazon has for brands. And so we had to apply for an exemption, upload spreadsheets. It was awful. And we were just bad at what we were doing. Like our products, the shelf life wasn't totally established. And oh my gosh, it was like anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Our products were exploding. Like it was not exploding as in a violent, fiery crash or anything, but like lotion bottles that leaked, like
Yeah.
just bad customer experience and bad Amazon storage, properties. Like our solid colognes, if they're kept over a certain temperature, they melt. Well, we don't have control over Amazon's temperature. And so whereas we could control the temperature or sell it during certain times of the year, we had to actually reformulate our cologne so that our solid cologne so that it wouldn't melt in Amazon's warehouses. I mean, just everything that you could imagine. We dealt with, and we dealt with it very primitively because we were it was just me and my husband running this whole thing. So I mean, all the way up until we were making $1 million, it was just like me and Russ and a couple other like stragglers. I even had a second job until 2 years ago. So yeah, it's just been really, really a crazy long road, and I'm glad that we did it. But it was very frustrating. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things, right? So those difficulties are things that you grow through. So that's how you learn.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is I think for when I think about starting, and I of course help a lot of my friends get on Amazon, because it is still a frustrating process if you're not really in tune with it. But I also think it's so worth it that that it's worth the agony, it's worth the frustration, it's worth all the challenges. I heard about, there's companies that do arbitrage, and there were some great God, I can't remember what the radio program was, but it was on NPR talking about arbitrage. And I did the math on it, and it was still worthwhile to be on Amazon, even with arbitrage. And everything. Like, there's going to be people ripping you off and selling on eBay and stuff like that and there's going to be people returning product that they didn't buy from you and everything. It's all, there's just so many issues at the same time. I think there's no other option except for to do it and face those issues.
Well, I mean, they buy from you on Amazon and then come back and sell on Amazon your products cheaper than you because they catch. I had a client, he ran a promotion and he issued a coupon code giving like 30% off. And this person apparently bought like 100 of them. And then the next thing is he's selling it on the same listing under him. And in fact,
so they can't do that with our products. And that's nice because we don't ever do pricing discounts and, we have very, very strict regulations on who can sell against us. So,
well, I mean, when you create the promotion, if you put a quantity limit, and then they cannot buy so many either.
Yeah.
So he just didn't know. So, you were talking about the problems that you had and everything kind of hit you in the face. So it's like the same thing for him. He just didn't know what he was doing. And of course,
right.
the mistakes cost big time, right? So because it's the ultimate.
Oh yeah,
scale.
it's huge. The scale of it is enormous. So mistakes that you make have the opportunity to really be expensive mistakes.
Yeah, I had a couple of those myself, but we won't get into it. So tell me about a challenge outside figuring out the
logistics and everything,
the strategy and how to differentiate. A challenge you are experiencing right now, like for example, what is your take on utilizing the Amazon analytics? So do you feel actually you make good use of it or some complicated things? How are you dealing with those?
No, I can't even stand Amazon analytics. And in fact, that's like kind of one of the things that we're really doing right now, since it's almost 2022 when we're recording this, probably, we'll be into the new year when it's aired. But yeah, so we're evaluating all of our sales channels and all of our pricing and everything, and looking at just having to download the raw data from Amazon and process it in our own way. That's the only way that we've been able to. That's a job,
right? That's a job.
Yeah, it's like it's all its own job. And, and I'm still like, writing newsletters for our website and everything. So it's like a big, huge job. And, we have different case pack sizes on Amazon. So it's all very intense. And so I don't know. I recently re-signed up for Celix, which is a program that I used before. I like them. And I think one of the things that's a big challenge for us is customer feedback. And I know that sounds like such a weird thing because customer feedback is great. Like even bad customer feedback is great customer feedback to know. At the same time, people on Amazon are strangers. They don't know who we are at all. They don't know anything about our company. They don't know anything about what we're doing. They don't know anything about our values or anything. They just know what they expected and what they got. And if those two things, for whatever reason, whether they read the description differently or whether it was a personal sense or whether they have COVID and something smells different to them, they will review it based on their own personal experience. And so people are super mean sometimes on Amazon. And I will say, like, I take it personally, and it took a long time for me not to take it really personally, but we have a satisfaction guarantee. Regardless of where you buy something, if you find somebody selling it on a corner, and you don't like it, we'll back that with our guarantee. And because we know that our scents aren't for everybody. So when somebody writes and says, this didn't smell like anything, and we're like, well, just write us, we'll send you something different. Like, that's no problem. It feels, I have a hard time not taking it personally. And so that's really hard as we expand on Amazon. One bad review can reduce sales by so much. that is just really traumatic.
Yeah, I mean, it's also because you are so close to the subject matter. It's your
We
work.
are.
You know the things that people don't see. I give you an example. We had a client. She actually was an Australian company. She founded it and successful. She actually was on Shark Tank in Australia. So
Hmm.
became celebrity, very successful. What they did was they had these patches for reducing or eliminating wrinkle on your neck. It's obviously mostly for women. So it was a patch that you would put on and then it would stick, and then you wake up, or after X number of hours, there would be no wrinkle. So she came to me and said, "We're having problems. Please help. It's not converting," and everything else. And the next thing is, I start reading the reviews, and people say it doesn't stick, it falls off. So you know what happened? This thing, this patch, it had a transparent film. It had to
Oh,
be
people
peeled
didn't
off.
pull off the peel
They
off
had to
part.
peel it, and they never were peeling it. And I said to her, this is what they are talking about. There is no. Do you have like a warning that peel before use? Or and she says no. She says it's obvious. I said it's obvious to
It's
you.
not obvious. Nothing's obvious. Yeah. Yeah.
So of course that meant So she says, so what do you suggest? I said, stop selling. We must close the listings right now, and then recall everything in the warehouse, put the label on, and then send it back. You're not going to
Right.
lose the merchandise, but this is no good. So anyway, that was as simple as that. So some things are obvious
Oh, it's
to
so
us.
hard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so hard to do though. I mean, deciding to recall product from Amazon is like, it's like cutting off a finger. Like we've done it a couple times because of a labeling issue. And, like we label everything ourselves, and there's human error. So one time we labeled body wash with the lotion SKU, the lotion tag. People were complaining about it. And of course, they were complaining about it. They should complain about it. And we realized that this problem could be 100 units big. And so we just decided, okay, we have to just bite the bullet, remove all of those products and just try again. And that was the last time that ever happened, because obviously we were mortified. But like that just, it's one of those things where you just have to sometimes make a hard decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, yeah.
So this is a good segue to my next question. So you have FBA, and everybody knows FBA, but they don't really know much about FBM, which is built by merchants. So
Right.
FBA, FBM. So I heard you mention a few times. So are you using FBA exclusively, or it's a mix? What do you recommend for people, and what are the pros and cons of each?
Yeah. So like you, I'm very data driven. And so we did an experiment when we first started listing and selling on Amazon. And we started with FBM. And then when we switched to FBA, our sales jumped by 40%.
Wow.
And so it was a huge, huge difference. And so now we only do FBA. We have a backup of inventory that we do FBM just in case there's like shipping delays. Sometimes Amazon puts us there at the front if they don't think they're going to be able to fill it in time. And so we have our own listing, which competes against Amazon's listing, but Amazon almost always wins. But we just really depend on FBA. And I advise everybody to do FBA. However, that said, we have fallen for the trap of sending like 500 SKU or 500 units of one SKU before it has any reviews. And we found that if you do that and it gets one bad review in the first like 5 reviews, you should just recall that product because it'll never sell. And it doesn't matter. Like nothing else matters except for just those first few reviews. So we only send like 10 or 20 units at first to make sure that we don't have to recall a whole bunch of product if it gets a bad review.
So this is for new launches.
Yeah, new launches, new product launches.
Do you run any campaigns on any new launches to collect? Because as you know, there is a whole routine to a launch.
Yeah, the Vine and everything like that. Yeah, I know about that. And also doing promos for, pricing adjustments and everything like that. What we found is that our products are very, very specific. So sending product through Vine doesn't, like if somebody doesn't like the smell of leather and gunpowder, they're not going to really appreciate our products at all. And so that's one of the things that we really learned the hard way is if we send out products through Vine and people aren't expecting exactly what they're getting, then they're not going to like their products. And those reviews come in and they're bad. And so we found that just waiting for the products to get picked up organically by people is actually a better strategy for us in particular. I'm sure it works differently for other companies and other people, but
Yeah.
for us, just better to get it organically.
Okay. I mean, I've heard also people run PPC campaigns for the
Yeah.
launch.
Yeah.
In fact, as you know, things are always changing with Amazon, different strategies, or Amazon ends up disallowing some of the things that were available. So my most recent experience is just stick to Amazon PPC, sponsored ads for your new launches, where you offer basically, some incentives. And that way, the goal being getting your order flow.
Mhm.
So that way your average order count on daily basis. So that's really what I hear these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love to get your take on that because over the years, it seems like Amazon has turned into really a pay to play platform, which doesn't really work for us because I've always thought of it as an advertising platform.
Mhm.
So if we have to pay to advertise on our advertising platform, then that becomes a little bit of a weird like thing where we're paying extra to get exposure, whereas we could just pay to advertise directly to our customers. And so for the Amazon sponsored stuff, they're launching more and more sponsored opportunities. And I feel like the value is really decreasing for us as a brand. What do you see for other companies that are in our position that are manufacturers?
Well, I'll just share my experience, and
Mhm.
I'm going to make it recent because, like I said, it just keeps changing all the time.
Yeah.
So there is absolutely value in spending money on Amazon advertising simply because Amazon will drive you organic traffic if you are an advertiser. And my experience has been anything between 3 to 5 organic clicks for every click you pay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I've seen happen. So that's one. The other thing is Amazon has recently launched this new program. And what they are doing is they want obviously more traffic coming to Amazon externally. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing Amazon sponsored ads, it's already existing traffic.
Right,
So
right.
they now have a new program where they actually offer incentives to sellers who are advertising externally. So there's something
Right.
called Amazon attribution. So
Mm.
if you sign up for the program and then get that attribution set up in your campaigns, and then they pick that data up. So that's also something that gives you benefits. So it's never a magic bullet situation. It's never one thing, but it's a combination. I've seen giveaways, legitimate giveaways, and where you're simply writing off the cost of the product and you give away X number of them. So that way they are legitimate purchases, they get reimbursed, but of course that gives you the order flow. So things like that are just practical things that I've seen being done successfully.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. It's never one thing, but it's different things. It works. It depends on the product, of course. Will your products be suitable for it and things like that? But there are definitely ways to do things. So I want to move on to another thing that is always there with these peaks. Like, tell us about how you prepare your operation when you have one of those peak periods. You have the Prime Day in the middle of the summer, you have the shopping season, and now we have the pandemic. You have all these ups and downs. So tell us about what to expect and what other sellers should be prepared for. How should they plan for these peak selling periods?
Amazon has their date that they say to ship Prime, Prime FBA to their warehouses by. And I have to say, in my experience, those are very optimistic. Those are very optimistic. If anything goes wrong in the receiving, if one person miscounts it, it's stuck in their receiving for a month. Like, think 2 months in advance of when they say their cutoff is. And that's what we learned. Like, that's what we've learned every single major peak, is that we didn't do it early enough. We didn't plan early enough. We didn't plan aggressively enough. Like, for example, right now we're out of stock of 3 of our best selling SKUs on Amazon for holidays.
That's a major hit.
And one of them is a gift set.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. And we've got 900 units stuck in receiving. And it's totally sold out. And so we're fulfilling it ourselves, of course. But having that lost opportunity, we sent it in early November, and it should have been in, but it got stuck in the receiving dock. And we know that our counts were correct because only so many fit in a certain box, but somebody miscounted it. And so now it's stuck in some little pile of reconciling, and we're just losing those sales because, we could blame Amazon for that, but really, whose responsibility is it?
Yeah,
It's ours.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, it's our responsibility. So we've learned that if we want to, make peak sales, we need to think 2 months further out than Amazon's recommended shipping deadline. And I appreciate that they give us shipping deadlines, but we need to think further out than that and look at historic sales and make sure that we are there in time for those. The other thing that we found is it's the old eggs in one basket, adage. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't send all of your SKUs for the season in one shipment, because if one shipment gets set to the side, all those SKUs are stuck. And so
very good tip.
Yeah. So send in phases and send, like, in reasonable case pack sizes, 100 at a time, and then send, individual pack of them. Like, don't mix pack, because that causes a lot of confusion for them. But send in waves. Don't send all at one time, because you don't want to get one person checking in all of your, crucial SKUs.
Yeah, well, that's a very valuable tip. So, where would you say you are now in your Amazon journeys? I know you said 2013 is. We are now end of 2021, so you've been doing this for 8 years.
Yeah.
So what is the end game? Where are you in this journey?
Man, I'm so glad that you asked. Because that's a really good question. And a lot of it depends on Amazon and Amazon's strategy. So do we want to lean into Amazon live shopping videos? Do we want to lean away from Amazon as it becomes more pay to play? Like, where is our time best spent? Where is our money best spent? And I don't really know. Like, this is a really interesting time. The pandemic, you know, the warehouse stuff, like everything that I'm thinking about in terms of privacy, in terms of online digital privacy for Facebook, all of these things come into a bigger strategy that Amazon has to be part of. But what part of it is going to be the experimentation that we're doing in 2022. And I'm really excited to do that because this is, you and I are both the same in that we just love a good challenge and we love a good experiment and we love looking at numbers. And so in many ways, this is a frustrating time because, pandemic and everything, like the everything is very difficult right now. But in other ways, it's like, well, this is our kind of golden moment to prove and test and experiment in a crucible of experience that we never would have had the opportunity to. If we win in this time, then we are winners. Like, that's awesome. So that's what we really see is like, how can we make the best use of this in a omni-channel, holistic way, and use Amazon the best that we can. And I'm excited. I think Amazon's testing new things. We're testing new things. It's all such a moving target. And I think in terms of where we are in our journey, every year it feels like we're just getting started. Like every year it feels like there's a new thing to know and a new thing to do. I don't think that we'll ever be at the end.
Well, yeah, this is actually all by design because Amazon is the leader and they want to stay the leader. And one way to lead is to keep changing rules so that by the time people figure it out, you've got the next set of things that you are releasing. So you always stay ahead of everybody else. So you're right. Every year they are doing something new. What works stops working, and now or whatever is working is not enough because there's something new on this side that you have to figure out and take advantage of. And so it is like that. So, but that's what makes it interesting, right? So
It's fun. I don't think I would do it if it wasn't fun. The money could be good, but fun is why I do it.
yeah. It's money. I always say this: do something that's worthwhile. Money is a byproduct; it will come. And if it's not worthwhile, clearly it's not really the right thing to do. So you'll have to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into a little bit more, if you like, pragmatic things. So tell us about your team. What does it take to run an Amazon operation? What do you have in house, and what do you outsource, and what do you take on personally? And what is the formula? Of course, it's different for people. Like you may like doing certain things, but they give us those pillars of this operation: in-house, outsource, yourself.
Yeah. So, in terms of our company structure, our company is very small. We have about 10 production and fulfillment people working in our warehouse. But in terms of our overall company, like from a leadership perspective, it's me and Jake, our director of operations. And then I have a production assistant, a marketing production assistant who does all of our like Amazon feed stuff. And she's going to start updating our Amazon listings. Last year, we used an agency, and they really were focused on optimizing our ad spend and getting our ads to a good position, getting our conversion rates really high on those page listings and stuff like that. And I think, I think that they were doing a great job for what they were trying to do. But for me, from an omni-channel perspective, it's been very, very difficult for me to explain to agencies in a way that I feel like really people get that Amazon is not a revenue channel for me. It is a part of a bigger strategy in terms of an overall company. And so I do want to make money on Amazon or at least break even. Um, but to me, the important thing is not driving sales to Outlaw products. It's finding customers who we wouldn't be reaching otherwise. So if somebody would be searching for our product, I don't care to reach them on Amazon. And that's really where the overall strategy is like coming in, is that we did have this agency. They were really, you know, um, working hard on getting our average cost of sale down and stuff like that. But for me, that's not necessarily the ocean I want to swim in. And so I think in terms of who does what, our production team, they pack all the Amazon orders, they fulfill the FBM, and they make sure everything is compliant with Amazon's packing. But in terms of the overall strategy, who's updating the listings, who's updating our store page, everything like that, that's going to be me and Jenny, my assistant, doing all of that, because I feel like from a strategic perspective, we just have to. And that may not be true of people who have Amazon, as their primary source of income or as their primary business driver. But for us, we want to do something very specific with Amazon. So I think we have to do that in-house. And then in terms of package prep and all that stuff, that actually takes quite a lot of time. And I think we underestimated when we first started the business and thinking about Amazon, like we just underestimated how much time that prep would take. And so building in that prep into the cost, factoring in the production employees' time, factoring in damages in the warehouse and stuff like that. I mean, it's a big moving target. And so that's one of the other reasons that I wanted to keep it really close. And yeah, it's a lot of downloading spreadsheets and a lot of math and a lot of evaluating sell through and looking at, conversion rate per page and why would people be bouncing and all that stuff. But I think it's ultimately worth it, because when I think about impact, it's like, well, where could my actions have a tremendous amount of impact? And it's like every conversion percentage increase that I can eke out is a huge amount of impact on Amazon.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people talk about, running ads and then driving traffic and visitors and all that stuff, but without an optimized listing that gets high conversion, it's just wasting money, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
pouring more water into a bucket that has a lot of holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to focus on conversion, and unfortunately that data is not available. It's you have to download reports, you have to look at it, you have to look at it over time, you have to make a note of the events that happen when you change pictures.
Can I tell you? Oh my gosh. So, okay. In the beginning, when I was managing our listings, I kept Google Sheets, like Google, not sheets, but slides, right? So I had like basically presentation slides, because it was the only way that I could think to duplicate the slide and then say what I changed, tracked, the average rating, all of the things. And I did this on a weekly basis with every major Amazon listing. It was so time consuming. And I'm dreading going back to that, Nick. I'm dreading going back to
You
that.
had to, but
Yeah.
there are
Hands on, man. You have to do it.
So tell me about your goals in terms of, and I'm not looking for numbers in terms of dollars, but what is your growth rate? What kind of growth rates are you looking to accomplish on Amazon, short term and long term, and what could people expect?
So I'm just going to be totally transparent. We're down year over year, which was like bonkers crazy, because this is the first time we've ever seen a decline in our sales on Amazon. There's a lot of reasons for that, competitors, changing Amazon staff. But for me, for 2022, we are really revisiting our entire Amazon strategy. And this is a bold statement, but I want to get back to the first page of our major categories. So first page of handmade soap, first page of cologne, which we were on the first page of cologne for a while, then we lost it. And so that means rigor, absolute rigor in terms of inventory maintenance, in terms of monitoring the customer experience, in terms of making sure that our packaging and our descriptions are on point and that our product photos so accurately represent what people are getting that there's no way that people could misinterpret what they're getting. So for me, growth, I really do think that growth is imperative. This year, 2022, I hope to double sales year over year, which is what we had done the 2 years prior, 2019 and 2020. We doubled sales year over year. So I know it's possible. And that's my goal for 2020 is doubling. And I want to do that through like short tail keywords, like really, really major keyword dominance.
Well, you know what they say, if you've done it before, you're likely to do it again. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you will do it. So this has been a great conversation. I mean, you've
Yeah,
given so
thank you,
many
Nick.
tips. So tell us about Danielle Vincent. Who are you? I know you are in Nevada and Vegas. Tell us about what you've done before, your education and all that stuff. And what are your passions? You know, outside of work, what gets you excited?
Yeah, so we're actually in Reno. We're outside of we're outside of Reno. I'm actually sitting in my home right now. And what really so I was in communications. I majored in communications, and then I went into entertainment, doing digital product management for Oprah.com, ABC.com, ABC Family, so Disney properties, and then of course Oprah.com is Discovery, and that that was great. It was a terrific career. It was a career to die for. And also, we couldn't move out of Los Angeles after a certain point. I could not get beyond where I was in my career and move outside of Los Angeles. So if I wanted to become a director or VP level, I was really going to have to commit to staying in Los Angeles for at least another 5 years. And I couldn't see that happening. And so I met my husband and I, we had been friends for 10 years and then we started dating. And in 2012, late 2012, we got married. And in like around New Year's, we decided to start Outlaw. And we had never made soap before. We taught ourselves how to make soap. Why did we start with soap? Well, we were super broke. We started the whole company with $17.45 in supplies, and sold our products from there and bootstrap for a lot of years. I really love people, and I love online communities, and I love online communication. To me, it's so amazing what kind of things you can do, people you can connect with through every method. And that's one of the things that's been so amazing about this company has been that it's not like, I mean, right now before this interview, I was actually writing blog post, a journal entry for our website about what my religion is, because I have an AMA, Ask Me Anything. And a customer was like, "Hey, are you Wiccan?" And I was like, "No, but I am weird." And so I'm writing about this stuff. We're going to have a great, intelligent, pardon my language, non-shitty conversation about it, because our customers are amazing. And so I think it was really because I'm so in love with online communities that we've been able to attract and keep around these really cool customers. And uh and I think that that's really what drives me. I'm super disciplined. I wake up at 4:45 every morning, and I journal 3 pages every single day. I keep, abundant notes and plans, and every single thing that I do is done on a specific day of the week. And so that's like my life is very regimented. And that's because um, for my whole life, I've been, I have depression issues, and I have attention issues, and, I'm socially awkward. So everything that I do has to be regimented, or I go off track. And that certainly isn't how everybody deals with their peculiarities, but that's how I do. And that's why I wrote the book, the Unicorn Book, because so many people had asked me about my regimentation journey and everything, that I thought, this is something I should really share with people. And so I'm an optimizer. I'm a constant optimizer. And that was what I loved about doing entertainment websites and everything, like just the ability to try something, to suck at it, to try it again, to suck at it again, and do better every time. That's like what I like in life. Same with hiking, same with exercise, same with writing, same with relationships. Like my husband and I have just he just got home, and we have our dogs and everything. So he's like, we have a great relationship, started a business together, which a lot of people leads to
It's
divorce.
usually tough. People have trouble.
Yeah, but we did it. We managed it. We had a good time with it. I don't know. Like, I like hiking. I like meditating. I
Well,
try to not get
talk
stressed
about
out.
making lemonade out of lemons. You are the perfect example. And when you mention, being regimented, I'm thinking the show Big Bang Theory. They must have modeled the character after you, because
Wait, I don't watch that show. So is it Sheldon? Because I like Sheldon
Sheldon,
quite
yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
Sheldon. He has the pancake days and
Oh
Fridays.
yeah.
So everything is very regimented. So
It's funny because that's very much, yeah. And I have different, I have the same breakfast every single morning. Like, oh, this dress. So I have 50 of this identical dress.
oh my
I have
God.
11 of these sweaters,
You
because yeah.
you really should. I mean, the show is over now, but you would be the perfect model. So Danielle, tell us, how can people find you? Give us your website, your any way to reach. Obviously, we're gonna have all your contact information on our website with the
Mhm.
podcast. So your bio together with your contact information will be on argometrics.com/podcast. But tell us about how people can reach you.
Well, you can always go to liveoutlaw.com. So that's number one. But search for Outlaw Soaps on Amazon. We're there. You can see our reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And on Instagram, I maintain all of our social accounts on for Outlaw. So you can just look us up and find us there. We have a customer satisfaction team, so most of those things are answered by them, thank God. But yeah, that's really how to find me.
Great. Thank you, Danielle, again. This has been great. And
Thank you.
that's it, everyone. So if you learned something today or laughed, tell someone about this podcast. Definitely tell everyone that you know as well as checking it yourself, liveoutlaw.com, and Danielle's work. It's incredible. And thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure and subscribe, rate, and review our show. And be sure and share an episode with a friend. And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next week here on Amazon Legends.